Yo, what's good YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing well, and I finally decided to bring out a sniping tutorial video for Black Ops Cold War. Now this isn't a video I would usually prioritize in making, but I've had so many people send me separate messages asking for a tutorial, and considering how well my last sniping tutorial did, how to snipe like a FaZe member in Modern Warfare, I decided, you know what, let's do a part 2, and so here we have how to snipe like a FaZe member in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now just before we get into it, I've got an announcement to make. I have joined Claw Gaming. They're a clan that's going really quick on YouTube. They've got 3k subs and growing, and they focus on content like Fortnite and Call of Duty as well as many others, and they've actually got a recruitment challenge coming out very soon. So if that's something that interests you, then check the links in the description down below, subscribe to them on YouTube, follow them on all the socials, and make sure to hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time they upload a video or tweet out, because it might just be about the recruitment challenge, which is just around the corner. Now having said that, I need you guys to also sub to my channel if you're new, and if you do like the video, hit that like button. We're on the road to 3k subs. We are nearly there, so any love and support you guys can show would be really appreciated. But not just that, because I haven't just joined Claw Gaming, I've joined Claw Gaming as the COD lead. So if you're into COD and you're looking to join a clan, especially with an RC around the corner, then I'm the guy you want to come to. Feel free to DM me on Twitter, my DMs are always open. Link me your channels, I'm more than happy to check out what you've got and give some feedback, and hopefully I'll see some COD responses from you guys for the RC. With that being said, let's get straight into this sniping tutorial. So you've been sniping for a while on Cold War and you want some tips on how to improve, or you're completely new to sniping and you don't know where to start, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'll give you the best tips, the best settings, the best class setups, and the best exercises to practice and kickstart your sniping journey, so that in no time you'll be a better sniper than me, which, let's face it, won't take too long, and you'll be a beast sniper. So first things first, we need to look at class setups. Once you get this down, we can then focus on everything else. So I personally like to use 2 snipers. I use the Lawbreaker wildcard, which allows me to run 2 primaries. I have the Pellington as my primary, and I have the LW3 Tundra as my secondary. Now the Pellington is the fastest sniper, which is why I prefer it, but it's slightly on the weaker side, but don't worry, I'll show you attachments to make it slightly stronger. And then the Tundra is a more consistent, stronger sniper, but it's slightly on the slow side, but I'll also show you attachments on how to make that slightly quicker. So I'll show you the class setup and attachments that I use, and then we'll also go over some variants. So Pellington first. The first thing I use, going from top to bottom, I use the Tiger Team barrel. This is a must, because what it does is it increases the damage of your sniper, so it's bringing up that slightly weak point of the Pellington, which is the damage, and it has been shown in other videos where it's been tested. Without the barrel, there's certain parts of the body that is a hit marker, and then with the barrel, that same shot to the same part of the body is a one shot. So the Tiger Team is a must. What it does do though, it decreases your magazine size by 1, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Second thing I use is the laser sight. Now sometimes I'll switch between the laser sight and the Tiger Team spotlight. What the laser sight does is it increases your hip fire accuracy, so in close quarters situation it increases your chance of hitting a no scope, which might just save your life and allow you to keep going with your streak. The Tiger Team spotlight, on the other hand, it reveals enemies at a certain distance with a nice big red dot over their head. In certain instances where you might not notice them, you will do when that red dot pops over their head. That gives you the time to aim at them, scope in, line up your shot, and get the kill. The next thing I use, which combats the decrease in mag size with the Tiger Team barrel, is the 7-round mag. So what it does do with the Tiger Team barrel, you go from 7 down to 6, which is better than 5 down to 4. Next, one of the most important attachments is the Airborne Elastic Wrap. This is the best attachment for improving your aim down sight speed. This one is 1,000,000% a must. And finally, what I use is the Marathon stock for the sprint to fire time boost. What this is basically when you're sprinting and you spot an enemy, you have to then bring your gun up before you can scope in and shoot. The sprint to fire time is how quick you're able to do that. So the quicker that time is, the quicker you can bring up your gun, and then the quicker you can shoot and get the kill. Now if we're looking at variants, you could take off the stock or the laser and put on a stabilizer to help reduce the sway. If you're new to sniping, you can use the stabilizer until your long shots on your quick scopes get better, and then you can take off the stabilizer. Or you could take off both the laser sight or spotlight and the stock, and you could put on an optic like the Hangman RF or the Axial Arm 3x scope, which actually do help your ADS time, although it doesn't say it on the stats. The Hangman only helps the ADS on the Pellington. It's actually doesn't affect the Tundra at all, but the 3 times axial arm actually improves the ADS on both snipers, but it does mean you sacrifice 2 attachments for the speed, so it's up to you which you want to do. Feel free to try them all out and see which one best fits your playstyle, and then stick with that, practice, and you'll be good to go. So now that we've got the class setup out of the way, next I use the flak jacket for grenade and explosive resistance in general. I use the tac mask for things like stuns and flashes and gas mines, and I use ninja so I can run around quietly. Now depending on the map, you can change these up, so you could run flak jacket, task mask and gung ho, so you can switch between weapons quicker and throw tacticals and reload while sprinting, or you could even have just flak jacket or just tac mask and then gung ho and ninja. Try them out, see which one you prefer the most, and then go with that. And then for things like stims, you can use that if you want to help you heal up in a sticky situation, or you can run things like stuns and flashes, throw them in a room, stun everybody, go in and just have some fun, destroy everyone. So it's up to you what you want to run, depends on your playstyle or how you intend to play. Try them all out, again, see what you prefer and stick with it. So the next thing we're going to look at is your sensitivity. Now this is huge when it comes to just playing COD in general, but especially with sniping, because you've only got that one shot, you need to make it count, you need to make sure your sensitivity is on point. So I personally play on 10-10 and I have my ADS low and high zoom on 1. I think I have my high zoom on 1.1, so it depends really. This is something you really have to experiment with. There's players who do really well with high sense, there's players who do really well with low sense. You need to try it out, but I'll show you some exercises that will help you figure out what's the best sensitivity for you, and then you can go with that. Before we get into the sensitivity though, we're going to look at dead zone. This is basically how much pressure you put on your analog sticks before the controller actually registers what you're doing and carries out in the game what you're doing on the analog sticks. So I think usually at standard it's 20. What I want you guys to do is bring both left stick and right stick threshold down all the way to 0, go into like a custom game and just put your hands away from your controller and see if the character moves or aims by itself. If the character starts moving by itself, then you've got stick drift on your left analog stick. If your character's crosshair starts moving by itself, then you've got stick drift on your right analog stick. So depending on what you've got, what I want you to do is then bump up your dead zone threshold by 1 and see if it does the same thing, and keep doing that until you've got no more stick drift, because what that then means is you've got your dead zone is low enough so that you can make minor adjustments quickly and your controller will register it, but it's also high enough that it doesn't register the stick drift. So you need to find that balance. Another thing we need to look at is your aim assist. So I would personally recommend playing on standard aim assist. This is because there's not much aim assist on standard at all, as you'll see in these clips here. As I'm sliding my scope over my friend who helped me in a custom game, the aim is barely being slowed down, whether in the scope or out the scope, as I'm crossing over the enemy. So playing on standard will force you to improve your centering, make sure your sensitivity is right, and overall in the long run will make you a better sniper and a better player in general. But if you're completely new, you might want to test out things like legacy, focus or precision, which as you'll see in these clips really does slow down the aim assist as your crosshair is crossing over the enemy. But again, I would recommend playing the long game, play on standard, it will force you to improve your skills, you'll be much better in the long term. Now we'll go on to sensitivity properly and the exercise you can do to practice. So you can start off with 10 if you're looking for a guideline. 10 is what I use, 10-10, and then as you can see we're looking at this box here, we've got our crosshairs on the box. What I want you to do is in one go, just swing your analog stick to the right like you see me doing, and then when you swing it back to the left, again you want to swing the crosshair back and try and get the dot back on the box in one go, not in a few goes, in one go. And then you do the same to the left and then swing it back to the right and try and get it onto the box. If you're swinging too much to the left or too much to the right, that means your sensitivity is a bit too high, drop it down. And if it's taking you too long to swing to the left or too long to swing to the right, then you want to bump up your sensitivity a bit. Now this also helps with centering, which we're going to get onto in just a moment, where you're running and you spot somebody on the left or the right. Practicing this and making sure your sensitivity is right will make sure you can swing your crosshair onto them before you scope in. Another thing you can do to make sure your sensitivity is right is just sprinting in a straight line and do a 360. So while you're sprinting, slam your analog stick all the way to the right or all the way to the left. And by the time you let go, if you're still facing the way you were when you were sprinting and your line hasn't really changed, your sensitivity is good. If when you've let go, you've ended up spinning twice or 3 times unintentionally and you've ended up looking to the left or the right or behind you, bring your sensitivity down a bit until you're able to do the 360 and carry on going in the same direction comfortably. So this is what I was saying about experimenting with sensitivity, because you need to make sure you can move like that while still being comfortable with moving your crosshairs onto a target quickly. So you need to experiment. You might need to bump it up from 10 to 11, 12, wherever it is, or down to 9, 8, 7. That's up to you. You really need to practice that, experiment, and see what works. So the next thing we're going to do is practice centering. Now centering is huge when it comes to sniping, as well as red gunning, but especially with sniping, again, because you've only got that one shot. So what you want to do while you're running around, stay out your scope, and then as soon as you see someone, you want to center your dot from your crosshair onto them, so that when you scope in, you can shoot immediately, and then you're back at your scope and you can carry on running, seeing all the surroundings around you. So as you can see here, I've fixed my crosshair onto a certain point which I've decided to concentrate on, and I'm just moving left, right, forwards, backwards, jumping up, crouching down, and I'm trying my best to keep the dot of my crosshair on that point. What this does is it practices your centering and also practices your tracking. So if you've spotted an enemy and either you're moving or the enemy's moving, this will come into practice where you'll know how to keep the dot of your crosshair on that enemy at all times as best as you can before you decide to scope in and take the shot. So once you've practiced all of this and you're comfortable, it's time to go in a custom game with some bots and practice the exercises that we've just done. So go into like a small map, so you're not running around looking for enemies, just go into like TDM and fill it with bots. So you'll have bots on your team, bots on the enemy team. Then there's a setting to remove bots. Just remove all the bots on your team, and then you'll be in a 1v6, and put the bot difficulty setting on recruit. You don't need to make life hard for yourself. Real practice is in real games. This is just basic practice, just so you've got the foundations of sniping, and then as you can see here, we're practicing centering. Center the dot onto the enemy or the bot, scope in, shoot. Center onto the next enemy, scope in, shoot. Now in some kills you'll see as I've scoped in, I've slightly adjusted my aim to the left or the right. This is something called drag scoping. So not every time you scope in, you'll be perfectly centered, and sometimes when you scope in, the enemies move to the left or to the right. So in cases like this, you drag scope. This is where you quickly drag your scope to the left or to the right, or sometimes up or down depending on how the enemy is moving, to adjust your aim so that you can get the shot. Now the way you practice this is, again, in custom game with bots at recruit level, scope in purposefully to the right or the left of the enemy. Then as you scope in, swing your crosshair to the right or to the left and take the shot. Now once you've practiced all of this, it's time to go into real games and play against real people, because as I always say, real games, real practice. You got to play against the guys who are cracked, sliding, jumping, 360 and bunny hopping. You need to practice against that to really get good at sniping. No matter how much you practice against bots on recruit or veteran, it's not going to be the same as coming against optic scumpies in team deathmatch or domination. So you need to go into real games and just practice. And this is where probably my biggest tip comes into play, and that is don't give up. Because when you go into these real games, especially if you're new to sniping, you are going to get destroyed. It's just bound to happen. What you need to make sure you do is don't give up. And take it from me, because believe it or not, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, so 2 games ago, was actually my first COD ever. It was my first time sniping on a COD game. I decided, you know what, I'm going to learn how to snipe. And now in Black Ops Cold War, if you check my previous video, I'm actually in the top 0.1% for accuracy. I'm in the top 100 for accuracy. So from starting to learn how to snipe in one Black Ops game to being in the top 0.1% top 100 for accuracy in the next Black Ops game, that's got to count for something. So don't give up and make sure you keep practicing, because what will happen is you need to put yourself in crazy situations. If you want a quick scope and you're sat in the back of room hard scoping, you're never going to get good at quick scoping. It's all about muscle memory. So you need to put yourself in crazy 1v3 situations, go for crazy jump shots, slide shots, or crazy quick scopes. Whether you're confident or not, just go for the pop shot. Like people say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But with all that being said, let me know if it did help. If it did, again, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.